SoupCod for Man 220 and welcome back to the COH2 World Online Replay. I believe it's number 25. Anyway, I came into this game after 2 weeks and I felt a little rusty. I was 1 for 6, so this is it's kind of an interesting match. We are playing with some interesting opponents. We're gonna actually have a second match after this. I'm gonna show you guys, and we'll let you be the judge of that. I'm playing with Strasstruppen, Strasstruppen and Josh. I played with Strasstruppen a long time ago in a 4v4, and he's actually German, and it was actually really fun. So I've noticed there's been a lot of blobs. So I'm doing a somewhat controversial start of a double MG. I would not recommend it for new players to start with double MGs, because if you can't control the angles your MGs are and can't micro manage them, then you're going to get outflanked rather early. And I'm using the new doctrine again. I really like the encirclement doctrine, mainly for the stormtroopers and just being able to do that close the pocket. But the stormtroopers getting behind enemy lines are so valuable, especially for the Wehrmacht. And you see I'm playing as the Wehrmacht and not the OKW. That's just some. I kind of think it's better when the OKWs are together and the Wehrmachts are together. You can see we are playing with G-Spox also, who's yellow on the screen. And you can see our opponent's levels right here. They are all higher than me because I'm only level 39. So every single one of these guys are higher than me, which means it should be a good fight, and they're pretty decent. So they know what to do. So you can see I'm going to push up here. Usually there's a battle for the fuel on this map. This map's been around for a long time. My goal is to just kind of be a nuisance, cut off this flank here of their victory point, and just make it hard for them. Put pressure on them, make them spend forces to try to take, me out. And I'm going to hop in this building here, which I didn't even zoom in. It looks like it has one window. That's actually really bad that I hopped in there. Because, yeah, it looks like just one window, so I can, they can kill my engineers that quickly. You can see I have an MG setting up right here. I also have another MG right here setting up. I'm going to hop it in this house. I'm just going to be very urban, do an aggressive push into this area. We need to have the machine gun, though, facing here, not the MP40s. There's the machine gun right there, loading the belt in. And the machining gun is going to push these guys back. It's going into heavy cover, which is going to make it hard for them to get suppressed. But you can see I pinned this guy down to the ground, and this unit's suppressed. So, anyway, we start to get outflanked here. G-Spox, but he sees them and does manage to stop them. They're going to throw a Molotov on his guys. So it's going to instantly catch one of them on fire. He's going to have to pull back, but they are pinned. I'm just actually going to push forward and get further away from them. I've set up my MG aggressively here, and I'm actually going to lay down some barbed wire just to make it hard for them to try to flank my position. I'm basically taking over this section of town here, or this building complex area. So yeah, you can see G-Spox, 2 machine guns also. I'm grabbing a third one, which is on its way up right now, and I'm grabbing a grenadier and a mortar. I'm going very heavy tier 1 because I'm thinking these guys are going to, kind of grab a lot of infantry early on. You can see there's already 3 riflemen out. And they built this. Now, this is a problem. One, because they have rifle grenades. This house is a little better, but your men can't really see over the wall there. But I saw that fighting position, and they're actually killing my men inside the building. If I do a mortar, so I'm going to start trying to mortar this forward position here. And I've cut out my flanking route from that. So that's a little bit of an issue there. But I'm not really worried about my engineers. I'm trying to keep my machine guns, stable. So I'm keeping a strong front here. I have some decent crossfire setup. And I also have this area. So, if anyone gets in here, they're going to have 3 machine guns on them. I have to turn because he's trying to flank me with some conscripts here. And that gives these guys an opening. But he pulled back there for some reason. Anyway, my engineers are almost dead. My pioneers here, so I have to pull out of that building and retreat. And I do have some of these grenadiers that are up here. I'm actually going to build a bunker here, which will be a reinforcement bunker, so I can reinforce my machine guns and keep them at the front lines. Anyway, I got killed by multiple grenades. These guys both threw grenades at my machine gun crew. So it's not good. These guys could easily pick up my MG, which is why I'm going to try to build this bunker so I can man it with grenadiers, some other forces. So I'm going to really use this point as like a strong point. G-Spox is going to be holding them off around the fuel, which is good. Looks like they have an ambulance. So that's going to be their forward retreat, the reinforcement point. It does take a little while. What I could have done with my Grenadiers is what I should have done is I should have had these guys help build, but I want them to help protect my men. You can see I'm going to start mortaring this position. I don't want this position here anymore. He spent the munitions on it, and I want to kill some of the guys inside. So he realized that this is kind of a worthless endeavor to try to like go against my machine guns here. And my mortar's doing work, because he's all bunched up around here near his ambulance. And it killed quite a lot of them. I just Juicebox didn't realize that those guys had the emplacement there. Let's go look on the right side of the map with the Oberkommando West. Once again, a lot of machine guns. I mean, it's you have to use machine guns against these large kind of blob formations, which we haven't seen too much of yet from these guys on this side. I'm seeing a lot of double storm pioneers with the Oberkommando West, and he's even building a flak. We don't see that very often. And you can see these guys finally got the idea to possibly flank me. We have another assault coming in here. These guys didn't get suppressed the last second. They're going to be able to toss a grenade and almost wipe out my squad. So I got to pull back. Thankfully, Juicebox has a machine gun over here. Yeah, these guys couldn't flank around because of the barbed wire. And he's actually been repairing this. And my mortar's just been free firing. He has a decent number of kills. You can see we're controlling basically both fields this match, which is really good. I mean, we're getting 26 fuel, and we're going to reman this one. All you need on this map is just to have the fuel. And you know, usually when someone takes over this hill, like this is pretty contested right now. Usually one person just dominates on this side of the map, takes the hill, and you know the person's fighting uphill along this road here. Anyway, I've gone some stormtroopers right here that I'm gonna try to. I'm equipping with the Sturmgewehr 44, Fear and Fiersig, and with that I'll be able to, I'm gonna make sure they get their weapons first before I charge the back of these Americans' positions here. These guys are gaining more and more energy. I'm reinforcing my troops here. This machine gun that was originally over here, I was able to just get back. It only had one man. Reinforce it. My mortars, providing some good support fire. I don't really use the German mortars too often, but not bad. G-Spock's also the same idea as a reinforcement bunker right there. There's all these bouncing Bettys, or S-mine dudes as they're called in this game, that are going off. There's some more buried right along here. Very devastating against infantry. And even does the, he's got to worry about his flank a little bit. I put some barbed wire up, but he even has the incendiary rounds on those machine guns going. Armor-piercing rounds. So you can see I'm a little early here, but I'm going to start my assault. I shouldn't build another one of these. But you can see I'm going to hop onto tactical advance, which basically lasts for 10 seconds, but it makes my men slow, but it improves their combat effectiveness. And look how fast this unit just goes down. He's down to like one man. If he wasn't reinforcing constantly off his ambulance, he would be in trouble. I'm gonna throw a grenade probably into this area here, and then retreat, or try to retreat, but there's the fire, and yeah, I didn't get to throw the grenade there. The Juicebox has his mortar after you saw effectively I use those in another match. Pretty good. We're just gonna pound their position, and I mean they can keep trying to repair this, but it's going to be a losing fight, especially when you put men in there when it's so low health. Like, that thing can get destroyed and kill everybody. So yeah, just a bunch of riflemen so far. You can see the Soviets, just mass conscripts getting behind our lines. A couple squads of conscripts and the scout car. Yeah, you can see along that side, though. You can see how he's kind of bunched up here with that kind of blob. And the Soviets, here's what they try to do. They try to turn on me. And I'm just going to turn both my machine guns, and I'm going to try to turn on the incendiary rounds. Which I managed to do, but he has to reload. The thing is, if he backs up, which he does, he's gonna back right up in to my machine gun there. That got bet too, and I also hit him with the Panzerfaust. So the Soviets are pretty much pushed completely back. They did flank around Juicebox. You can see there was 3 conscript squads there. Scout car, so interesting attempt. Look, there's 2 more, so he has 5 conscript squads. Let's just go on our opponents here. So you can see this guy has 3 conscripts, a bunch of douche guys. Blue Diamond, 4 infantry squads. Well, 3 U.S. rifleman squads, a lieutenant, and a combat or assault engineer squad. We'll saw this guy. That's what I'm talking about, the blob that we're going against. You never need 5 conscript squads. 5 conscript squads and 2 engineer squads. So you can see Juicebox, however, is, just wiped out a whole squad with that half track. So, it's totally paying for itself. And you can see the American is kind of blobbing up here, It's just, I felt like we're fighting against a ton of infantry. I mean, if you look at my infantry, I basically have 2 machine guns and a grenadier squad. And I got some PGs. And some extra combat, some extra pioneers. And these guys all have machine guns, so he's going to flank around. And Juicebox doesn't have anything at the front line. All his men are back at base retraining, which he should bring up to the front lines because I'm kind of on my own here. And you can see they even have a captain. And I know, because I saw with my Storm Pioneers, I saw that, he has ambulance roughly around here. So I'm going to start targeting that roughly around here. And I know he has fighting positions. He's building a 3rd one. He's kind of spamming these. So we have the Soviet blob over there. Another blob attack here. Just the machine guns these guys have to have. One thing I think that you got to fix for the riflemen is I don't think they should have those smoke grenades, because when people blob up with those, let's just switch on what I'm talking about here. This is the blue diamond. So you can see how these guys have the smoke grenade. When you blob up with like 5 or 6 of these units, and you throw some smoke at machine guns, the smokes and the grenades, the smoke grenade costs not enough in my opinion. And they can just completely negate any machine gun. So if you have a couple machine guns set up, they throw some smoke, you're screwed because there's like 6 of those units, they close in through the smoke, and you're just dead. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Are you having trouble facing blobs online? Because I'll show you the second match where we fight against these guys. Tukasufu's very nice. He's got to get that out of there though. And they did take over his building here. Anyway, this is what I'm talking about with the blob. You can see there's 4 squads. That's about 20 men. And they're all coming for me. I have my machine guns turned. This is at a bad angle. I realized this, but I realized that, but I couldn't like pull back in time. So I have my mortar right here. And I want to pull this mortar back. I'm afraid I'm going to lose my Vet 2 mortar, some Molotovs or something like that. And these guys are going to run in the house, which is smart, but I don't think he realizes, like me, that the house has multiple windows. Anyway, I'm also calling. They got into the house here, and their machine guns are going to tear this MG up. It's screwed. There's all these machine guns, PPSHs. I'm going to try to reinforce, but this machine gun's wiped out basically. Just like at a Panzer IV at this moment here, and he goes and starts killing the men in the house. This is going to be a devastating assault for him. My Panzer IV is so close to all his men. You can see Juicebox helped me with the flame on this house here, and that squad barely got away. I brought, some of the stormtroopers out to help. I want to kill as many of these guys as I can. And I did manage to wipe out a squad. This squad gets completely wiped out. So that's 3 squads I basically wiped out there out of his 4 squad attacking force. And I do see the captain only has 1 bazooka at this moment, so it'd be great if I could wipe him out. Which I do. And then he has a Stuart right here. A little light armor for, 13 minutes into the game. It does have its use, but he had to realize that I was going for this. He could hit me with a anti-tank rifle grenade. He's going to pull back. I don't see anything stopping me right now. I don't want to get too cocky, because the T-34 can come. But I want to try to kill as many of these squads as possible, so I'm hoping to wipe out that Vet 2 squad, which I managed just to miss, unfortunately. And, it took him a little while to stop my tank here. So my mortar, supporting me. Vet 3 back here, 21 kills. I mean, it's been devastating. I'm gonna start bringing up some of these guys. They can't get the combat package, which makes them good against tanks, like getting them behind enemy lines. You can see we have an AT coming out for the Americans. And surprisingly, just a bunch of fuel caches from this guy so far, and maybe trying to get something. Major attack going in down here. But the Stukazufu is probably my favorite half-track in the game. Devastates that area. If you have like 2 or 3 of these, they're amazing. On certain maps though, right? So I just destroyed all the fighting positions and completely devastated the American forces. Yeah, they pretty much, they had a bunch of squads there. They're down to 2 squads. And then the Soviets are down to, it looks like a penal squad and a conscript. A penal squad, a conscript squad, and a combat engineer. And look at him. He moved this up, and he almost wiped out my tank there, so I have to pull these guys up to stop him. Isn't it cool these guys can go, like, invisible when they're in cover, like a sniper? And that's really cool. Anyway, I pushed him back. That's all I wanted to do. I'm throwing down some smoke, because I thought he would, just keep pushing up, but he decided to back off. So I'm going to capture the victory point here. G-Spox is like engaging these guys with a lot of machine guns, so you could say we machine gun spammed a little bit here. I did have 3 at one point. I still have 2. But to be honest, what were we going to fight these guys with? Some grenadiers with machine guns, MG42s. I mean, the amount of guys we were going against in that kind of blob formation, we had to do machine guns. Anyway, another counter on some of these blobs would be Panzer Grenadiers, once they get close. They're still good units. They're not as good as the Obersoldaten. They used to be like the Obersoldaten. Like, these guys were, like, amazing back when the game first came out. I have my guys fighting with these men here. They're throwing grenades at me. So I'm gonna try to dodge that. I think I can beat these guys. And then a T-34 pops up. So I'm not gonna panic. I have a Panzer IV that's still being repaired. I'm gonna hit it with a destroy its basic engine there. I'm gonna try to pull back with these guys using T. I'm trying to actually get back to my reinforcement bunker, but I am gonna lose that squad. So I tried to preserve it. Juicebox has a little bit of a blob here. And he even picked up the bazooka. But they're throwing Molotovs at him. These guys got upgraded with their MP-44s or Sturmgewehr. Fear and Viersig. You can see that gun was wiped out over there. And they're basically pushed back by Juicebox's kind of blob a little bit there. They have a Kugelwagen. And a Panther over here. So they're able to hunker down with machine guns. They did destroy that though. And Stigusufus for support. I'm not afraid of this T-34. I have a Panzer IV. It does have a damaged engine. But keep on, I have another Panzer IV that's coming up right now. So we'll definitely be able to take this T-34 out. What I was surprised was how much armor this T-34 had. And I thought he would have a conscript to throw an anti-tank grenade at me, which I see that he's bringing up. But I'm not going to let this T-34 go. He's down to 276 points. So the Americans have been pushed back with pretty much nothing. These conscripts are getting wiped out. You can see that really cool sounding of the Yushka there. He's going to try to turn his tank, which is weird. He's exposing his side armor to my tanks. He's still alive somehow, don't ask me how, and he finally got wiped out. Anyway, I'm getting ready to kind of move and destroy his base, possibly, if he doesn't. I'm moving up here and taking out the position. Basically, this position up here really helped me, keep that flank, constantly harassing these guys and just having a strong position up on this hill without being here where I couldn't be easily outflanked with my barbed wire that was up there. This barbed wire was key in having me not have my machine guns be flanked. They were forced to come from this side and behind our lines to flank me, or they take an attack here, and that wouldn't work out too well for them. You can see I picked up my machine gun, and that's when they decided to surrender. And I say good game. Funny, it's not showing the, usually shows the kills. Interesting. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this match. A little bit short of a match. I'm going to show you the match after this in a later video. I just kind of talk about it. So it's going to be against the same opponent, so you guys will kind of see that. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a comment down below. What do you think about are you running into blob tactics, basically? Leave me a comment. What are your solutions dealing with them? And are you getting frustrated by that? How do you think the game's taken a step backward necessarily and going more to COH1 with these kind of mass blobs, like with the good old Panzer Elite Infantry? Anyway, cut from N221, signing off.